Hey everybody, Henry here, and in today's video we are taking a look at my run in the Silph Marsh Cup. And before we hop into the battles, I'll break down the rules for the Marsh Cup. So the Marsh Cup, you can use Pokemon that are Poison type, Ghost type, Bug type, Grass type, and Water types. Dual typings are allowed. The only bans are Tropius is banned, Abomasnow is banned, and Megas are banned. And so it does have a really interesting meta, and it's a tournament that I quite enjoyed participating in. I participated just in my local community tournament and ended up doing a lot better than I expected. So without further ado, let's hop into these battles. And we're hopping into the first round of the tournament. For each round, I am going to list my team of 6 and my opponent's team of 6 on the screen, so you'll be able to see what Pokemon that we were choosing from. Hopping into game 1, I was using a line that I had crafted during some practice that worked quite well. The line is basically running a Galvantula and 2 Galvantula counters. The main goal is to, if possible, safe swap into one of the Galvantula counters to draw out the Water type. So you can see a Fortress lead. That's not my most favorite lead, so I am going to swap into the Marowak, and I'm able to do a ton of damage on this Fortress with Fire Spin. They go for a Mirror Shot, and they're going to swap out into Bibarel, and I forgot Bibarel was normal type, so I throw a Shadow Bone at a normal type. Don't do that. Don't be like Home Slice. Be better. The Bibarel is going to throw a Surf. That's going to take me out. I'm going to wait my clock, and then I'm going to come back in with the Galvantula to take out Bibarel. I go for a lunge, just because if they shield, then they'll be debuffed. They don't shield, they let it take them out. They come back in with Fortress. I come in with Crustle. I am going to need to shield this up, because a Mirror Shot would do a decent amount of damage, and they bring in a Shiftry. So shielding up there ended up being a bit of a mistake, unfortunately, as I'm really going to need this shield. Because if I was able to shield the Shiftry here and then get to a second X-Scissor, then I would have had a really good shot to take this game. But unfortunately, I was not able to do so, and they're going to take me out. So unfortunately, I do drop game number 1. But hey, we still have 2 more games. And hopping into the second game, as you may notice, there's no footage here. Unfortunately, the footage for game 2 corrupted. So unfortunately, we don't have video of it, but I won, and it was a pretty close game, and I started using a bit more of a double grass line, which you'll see in game 3. So I noticed that this Fortress is an issue, so I'm running Marowak double grass, the goal being to safe swap into Cradily to draw out the Fortress. And it works like a charm. We're able to draw out the Fortress. We're going for a Stone Edge, and we're able to get a shield. So we're in a really great spot. So even though we don't have switch advantage, we have shield advantage, and Shiftry with a shield advantage and with its number 1 counter out of the way on his team should be in a really good position to sweep endgame. I'm going to go for a second Stone Edge. That does a nice amount of damage, and they're able to farm down. I'm going to wait my clock, and then I'm going to come in with the Alolan Marowak. So Alolan Marowak comes back in. They're throwing a charge move. I do decide to let this go, and it's just a Mirror Shot, which is fantastic. They do a quick swap into their Bibarel, and I counter with my Shiftry. So they did a really good job of realizing that I was trying to bait out the Fortress, and by giving up switch advantage, now the Fortress is in the back to deal with the Shiftry. So really nice play there. Fortunately, my opponent does shield up there, so a bit of a mistake because I am able to beat them to a charge move. So Leaf Blade is going to take them out, and they come in with Mantine. Again, I probably would have come in with Fortress here, to be 100% honest, because Mantine is just getting outpaced quite a bit. You go for an Aerial Ace, I shield that up, and I'm going for the Leaf Blade here. Leaf Blade gets them low, quick swap into Marowak, they bring out the Fortress. I go for a Bone Club, which does basically nothing, but 2 Fire Spins is able to take them out, and then I'm able to get to a Bone Club to take out the Mantine. I was at a Shadow Bone, but Bone Club does the job as well. So, and so with a score of 2-1, we are able to take the victory in round number 1. And we're hopping into the second round of the tournament here, leading Galvantula into Toxicroak. This is why I was leading Galvantula. I don't really have a good Toxicroak counter, so I built my team as an attempt to, draw out the Toxicroak and hopefully kill it with Galvantula. So we got it up front. So they go for the Mud Bomb. I'm going to throw a lunge, hoping to get a shield. I am able to get a shield, which is great. And I'm going for a second lunge. I am going to need to shield this up. My guess is they may not shield, but if they don't shield, then I should be able to farm them down. So even though I won't have a shield advantage, I'll have switch and I'll have some extra energy. Yep, and I'm able to get the extra volt switch in, which is huge. All right, and they bring out a Swampert. And I'm going for a lunge. That lunge connects and does so much. And they are forced to throw because they wouldn't be able to mud shot down in time. They go for a hydro cannon. I'm going to bring in Crustle. So I'm in trouble here. I don't have a Swampert answer with this team. Hydro cannon comes through, hits for super effective. They swap into a Shift Tree and maybe gives me a chance. So I throw the X Scissor to get the shield. I hop into the Alolan Marowak. They're going to be throwing here, which is going to be, yeah, that foul play is going to do a ton of damage. I overfarm and I go for a Bone Club. Bone Club is not going to be doing a lot, but is enough to KO. And I'm able to get to the Bone Club. So they did not throw. They got a little greedy with overfarming and were able to take the game. So awesome, awesome game one. Hopping into game number two. What do you know? Another Toxicroak lead. And this time, I do decide to go for a discharge first. Because I'm like, hey, you know what? Maybe he won't shield the first one since he saw me bait the first time. So we're going to go for discharge. Unfortunately, we do get the shield. So now it's looking like that he likes to shield the first one, but let the second one go. So I am going to be shielding this one up. But I am going to be throwing a lunge. Because lunge is going to be resisted. And as I mentioned in game one, actually won't kill him. So I can get some farm. He lets that go. And I'm able to get the Volt Switch through, which is huge. And he comes out with Shift Tree. And now, since I got the Volt Switch through, I'm able to get to a lunge before I'm farmed down, which is massive, because that is going to be getting his last shield. I swap into my own Shift Tree just so he can't farm me down. And he goes for a Leaf Blade. And that does a decent chunk, even though it's resisted. And quick swaps onto Galvantula. So really nice catch by my opponent there. That's going to be not very effective. But I'm able to outpace it to a foul play, and this will be taking out the Galvantula. Yep, that does take out the Galvantula, and Shift Tree comes back in and throws. Leaf Blade doesn't quite take me out. I'm going for a Leaf Blade of my own here. That connects. And then build up a little extra. Attempt to sack the Galvantula, and they do throw, so that ended up working out. Bring in the Shift Tree. I thought I had more health on the Shift Tree than I did, so now I'm like, oh no, did I just throw? But no, foul play comes through, and the good news is he's going to need 3 foul plays to take me out. So I get to 2, but I am able to get to the Grass Knot. That is going to be taking out the Shift Tree and giving me the game. And the opponent actually forfeited game 3, so 3-0 there. And we're hopping into round number 3 with a really, really bad lead. We swap into Cradily, and we are able to draw out the Toxicroak. At this point in the tournament, I had figured out that for people who have Toxicroaks, I need to run the double grass line with Galvantula up front in an attempt to draw out the Toxicroak so Galvantula can kill it. Charge move coming through, that's going to be the Mud Bomb. I'm going to let that go. Unfortunately, I can't quite get to the Grass Knot. So I am going to wait my clock, and then I'm going to come in with Galvantula, and my goal is now hopefully to farm down. We are able to get a Volt Switch through as the Toxicroak throws. I shield up the Mud Bomb, which was probably a mistake to be honest, and I'm able to farm it down. The Swampert comes in, and I go for a lunge. This will be doing quite a bit of damage to the Swampert, so we do get a shield, which is huge, and now I swap into Shift Tree and let Shift Tree go to work. Here I do go for a Leaf Blade, and we get the shield, and charge move coming through from the Swampert, and I call it, and it's an Earthquake, so no Sludge Wave, which is huge, and he brings in his Cradily. I am going to need 3 Leaf Blades to take out this Cradily, so we are able to get the first one off, and I am going to need to use a shield. From here, this is going to be, I'm going to need some very careful energy management to have a chance. I count to 3 of his fast moves, then throw my charge move. And then I can do 1 more fast move, and then I throw another Leaf Blade. That's so he doesn't hit me with his charge move. And Leaf Blade comes through, takes him out, then 1 more fast move, and we're able to get to a Leaf Blade, and that is going to be taking out the Swampert. So even though we had an absolutely horrific lead, and our second was and our safe swap was countered. Shiftry was able to win the day. And into game number 2, I did make a bit of an adjustment. I did swap out Shiftry for Crustle. Here I swap out Cradilly, and with Cradilly, then I am able to draw out the Toxicroak. So this line is following along a similar vein of if I'm able to bait out the Toxicroak with Cradilly and kill it with Galvantula, then I should have a decent shot for Crustle to sweep him back. Unfortunately, I was not expecting the Swampert to come back. Now I'm stuck in a really tough position where I don't have a Swampert counter. My one Swampert counter is dead, so I'm in a lot of trouble. Goes for a Mud Bomb, I let that go. I'm realizing I'm going to need shields him back. And I'm able to farm down, which is huge. Now I should be able to land a lunge onto the Swampert, and that's going to be doing about half its health. So it does quite a lot. And I need to get to another lunge. They throw a charge move. I'm actually going to invest a shield here and throw a second lunge in the hope that it takes them out. I throw a second lunge. Come on, please let this go. And they let it go, which is massive. They come in with a Shiftry. I come in with a Crustle. The game is still not over by any means, but getting rid of that Swampert actually gives us a win condition. So the X-Scissor gets the shield, and I'm able to sneak a Smackdown through, which is huge. At this point, I'm realizing it's more than likely the fast move pressure is going to win the day for me. I know I'm able to take one Leaf Blade. I shield up here because I snuck a Smackdown through, and then I'm able to get one more through as well. So now he's on 1 HP. This Leaf Blade is going to take me out. If I can just get one Volt Switch through, and I'm able to get the Volt Switch through and take the game. Oh my goodness, I forgot how to speak there for a second. Hopping into game number 3. Here I'm leading a Cradilly just because he really liked to lead Swampert. So I figured may as well counter it. I'm going to let this Leaf Blade go through. That does a decent chunk. And I'm going for a Stone Edge. This would do a lot to Shiftry. Yep. And then I'm going to swap into my Crustle to farm down. Yep. And I let that go because I know the Swampert's coming back in, and I don't really have an answer to Swampert with Crustle's charge move, so not really a point in shielding it. I'm going to go for an X-Scissor though, and that should do a nice small little chunk there. And they swap in the Toxicroak to farm down, so really nice play there. And I'm going to come in with the Marowak. And I am going to need to shield up the Mud Bomb. And this is going to be tough. Again, my opponent correctly realized that my team has a big Toxicroak weakness and is going to take advantage of it. I'm attempting to Fire Spin down. I'm going to let this Mud Bomb through. It does a decent chunk, and we're able to feint him down. Swampert comes back, and I am going to go for a Shadow Bone. At this point, I'm just needing a defense debuff, and we actually get the defense debuff, which is great. And at this point, I'm just trying to do fast move damage. I shield up the first Hydro Cannon, but he has back-to-back Hydro Cannons. So at this point, things are looking really dire. Yep, I am able to get to a Grass Knot, but he does still have a shield left. So he's able to shield that up. And he has a charge move ready and waiting for my Marowak. So on 1 HP, he is able to take the game. So a really, really good round 3. Incredibly close games all around. And we're hopping into round number 4. Unfortunately, the first battle, the video footage did corrupt, but I did end up losing. Hopping into game number 2, and I get a great lead. I'm running the Alolan Marowak double grass line. As you can see, I did run quite a few different versions of the double grass line with different leads depending on the opponent's team. They safe swap into an Alolan Muck. My team doesn't have a good answer for Alolan Muck, so I'm going to stay in, get a shield myself, and then go for a Bone Club to do some chip damage so I can ensure that I keep switch advantage. I land the Bone Club, and I'm going to swap into Cradilly. And they do decide to throw. That's going to be the Sludge Wave. And I'm going to build up a little extra, and I am going to bait with Grass Knot as I'm anticipating a shield. They do shield up, and they store a move and switch out into Venusaur. And since shields are down, I am going to be able to land the Stone Edge, which is going to be doing quite a lot to Venusaur. And I got very close to a Grass Knot, so they are forced to throw a Frenzy Plant and take me out. And at this point, I hop back into Alolan Marowak, and I'm able to farm down. So now I have a bunch of loaded energy, which is great. Galvantula comes out, and I actually make a bit of a mistake. I mean, Bone Club is decent, but Shadow Bone is going to be doing a lot more damage. I am going to be shielding up my Marowak, and here my opponent makes an amazing play. I'm over farming, and they swap in the Muck with the loaded energy. and they Dark Pulse to take me out. Here with Shift Tree, I'm going to build up one Snarl extra and force a CMP tie with the Muck, and this Leaf Blade is going to be taking out the Muck. Galvantula comes back in, but I am able to get to a Leaf Blade, and that is going to be enough to take out the Galvantula and give me the game. So I'm able to tie it here, and it all comes down to game number 3. The winner-take-all game, and I actually did 2 Marsh Cups today, and this gentleman, Taco Dog, was in both, and we had incredibly close battles in both of them. Alright, hopping into game number 3, he's leading the Alolan Muck, so this is not the best. So he correctly realized that I was leading the Marowak and is now leading the Muck. So I shield up, and I go for a Bone Club to see if we can get a shield in return. We do get a shield in return, which is great. And here I catch onto my Cradilly, but unfortunately they are able to not throw, and they bring in their Venusaur. And Cradilly does have a decent matchup against Venusaur, able to land the Stone Edge, which is huge. And we can safely tank a Frenzy Plant, so I no-shield this. Frenzy Plant comes through, Cradilly is chunky, so we're not worried about that, and we're going for another Stone Edge. And my guess is they'll probably end up letting this go. Yep. And they're coming in with the Muck. And Muck actually decides to throw, which is great for me. I was worried they might try and snarl me down. Dark Pulse comes through, and I'm still in a bit of a difficult situation. I do come in with Shift Tree, and they bring out Alolan Marowak. So this actually works well for me, because Shift Tree does beat Alolan Marowak in 0 and 1 shield scenarios. So this ends up working out great, especially with me having an energy lead. So I'll be able to shield up this charge move from the Marowak. They just go for a Bone Club, and I overfarm a little bit, and I'm able to get to a Foul Play. And this Foul Play should be taking out that Marowak, which it does. Muck comes out, and I'm able to get to a Foul Play on the Muck. And as you can see, Shift Tree putting so much work in. That does a nice amount, and I'm able to switch back into the Marowak, fire off a Bone Club, and that is just going to be enough to take out the Muck and give me the game. So really well played to my opponent there. We were able to take it, and here comes the championship. And here's where a dream dies. This guy was really good. He had a Toxicroak, and he knew how to use it. So leading off with a Muck. So this is not a great lead. I am running the Galvantula Double Grass version of the line just because I know he has a Toxicroak. Unfortunately, I don't switch out here. So I make a mistake. I've been switching out all the time, and I just didn't for whatever reason. I'm going to shield this up and farm him down, but if he's a Toxicroak in back, I have no way to beat it. And being a good player, he realized that I had a weakness to Toxicroak. So he's going to bring out the Toxicroak. I'm going to go for the Lunge. He shields that up. And now what am I going to do? Bring in Cradilly? Cradilly, yeah. So Mud Bomb comes through, and yeah, my whole back line is now weak to this thing. So a bit of a misplay on my part, and the game's basically over at this point. I do connect with the Stone Edge, but it doesn't really matter. And they swap out into Shift Tree. I go for another Stone Edge onto the Shift Tree. That lands, and they're able to feint me down. My goal is to come in with my own Shift Tree, and I'm going to need a lot of stored energy if I'm going to be able to beat my opponent's Shift Tree. Leaf Blade comes through, and I can tank 2 of those pretty easily. And second one comes through. I am going to shield this up. I'm going to be over farming here. And they get to another one. So that Shift Tree was absolutely loaded on energy. Leaf Blade comes through. I'm building up extra. And unfortunately, we simul swap. And then they're able to win CMP there. So really, really unfortunate. But we do drop game 1 in the championship. And so both of us were undefeated at this point. We were 4-0. So this was for the championship. Leading game number 2. This time I actually do swap out. And I'm able to draw out the Toxicroak. And I do go for the Grass Knot. And here, as you can see, this strategy's worked fairly well before, but watch what my opponent does differently. Rather than throwing, he actually decides to shield once and farm all the way down, so he's completely loaded on energy and can now really threaten my Galvantula. So I believe that this is the way to counter the strategy that I was doing. And as you can see, my opponent ends up making mincemeat of me throughout the course of these 3 games. Mud Bomb comes through, and they're at another one. Absolutely brutal. I'm going to let this through as well. And they switch out to catch the discharge. onto the muck. Absolutely incredible play by my opponent. I just don't have words. This man was just absolutely just smacking me up and down the court. Like, so talented. And that muck is able to get the 2 dark pulses. I'm over farming quite a bit and going for a leaf blade. I'm going to need a lot of energy to take out the Toxicroak. Leaf blade comes through, and I'm fully expecting the Toxicroak to come back. Oh, it's actually a shift tree of his own. My guess is this is purely just to exhaust my energy so then his own Toxicroak can come in. And charge move coming through from his shift tree. I don't have any shields left, so it's going to be able to hit. And now he's going to be able to switch back into the Toxicroak and counter down. And yeah, unfortunately, I did try and sack there with no success. Yeah, so no luck there, unfortunately. And we're hopping into the final battle, and again, just can't catch a break. I decided to run the team that was triple weak to Swampert, you know, just in the hope that maybe he wouldn't bring Swampert, but he did, so we're already in trouble. I mean, at this point, we had already lost. I switch in the Marowak, you know, just for the memes at this point, and we're going to be shielding up the Hydro Cannon, and he correctly switches in Shift Tree because he realizes at this point that I don't have any Swampert counter, so he should keep the Swampert in the back. Able to land the Shadow Bone. I am going to need to shield this up, and then I should just be able to farm down. Able to farm down, which is perfect. And let's see what he has. Comes back in with the Swampert. I'm going to go for the Bone Club bait. Yep, able to land the bait. Unfortunately, lose CMP on the Shadow Bone, so that is going to be taking me out. And now it's all up to Galvantula and Crustle, so we're in trouble. And there comes the Toxicroak. This guy realized I had no answer for Toxicroak and used it exceedingly well. So really well played to him. And I quick swap in Galvantula just to maybe get to a move, but I wasn't able to. And at this point, I'm just going to let the Mud Bomb through and I'm just not going to attack. Like, it's over. So yeah, unfortunately I was swept in the championship game, but all in all, I am really proud with how I did. I ended up coming in second, which ended up being the highest that I've placed in a Marsh Cup, and then I ended up doing another Marsh Cup later that same night, and I finished second in that one as well. So all in all, 2 second place finishes. I am super, super happy. Anyways, thank you guys so much for watching as always. If you're new and you enjoy this kind of content, definitely consider hitting subscribe. It's free and helps out the channel, and I'll see you guys in the next one.